because it's rooted and grounded in fact. Now, like I said, I'm willing to debate non-stamp collector, AronRa, DPR Jones, whatever, but these people will not engage in proper academic debate, and have been scared of me for a long, long time. Because even though I have an eccentricity, and even though I have not been the best, I've not been well for a couple of years, people should know and do know that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to biblical theology. And these people know that if they came up against me on my turf, on my subjects, such as the resurrection of Christ and theology, they know they would lose. So that's why they've been scared of me and ignored me. It's not just because Jason's not well and all that. No, it's because that they know that this is not their subject. This is not their subject. They're not equipped to deal with it. You look at all the major YouTube atheists, they are nowhere well read on these subjects. Nowhere are they able or equipped to deal with these subjects at all. They haven't got the resources, they haven't got the know-how, and they just haven't got the knowledge to be able to deal with someone like me on that subject. If any of them wants to prove me wrong, well, here I am. Come and debate me at any time. So I learned a lot about the resurrection of Christ, the scholarship this year, and really enjoyed that. Trying to think of other books that I read and other things that I've found. It's been a really good year for me intellectually. I did grow a tremendous amount, and I did learn a heck a lot. I read stacks of books this year. I did read stacks of books. I know the atheists will say, well, yeah, but did you regurgitate it, Jay? Yes, I did. I chewed it over and I enjoyed it, and it was a blessing. And I read some novels, I read some plays, I read some biographies, I read philosophy, theology, etc., etc. So I read a wide spectrum of things. My faith was much, much stronger at the end. I enjoyed, I think his name is Professor Hart. He really was somebody I really enjoyed because he was a top thinker. I mean, he was a real top, what I would call a proper thinker. I think his name is Professor Hart. And he wrote The Atheist Delusion, I think. But there are some videos on YouTube of him, really, really interesting. And I found him really, really interesting because he's steeped in the early church fathers, which I love and which I enjoy. And I just love that, and he's just steeped in that. And also, but he's steeped in Western thinking, the Jean-Paul Sartre and all that stuff, and and he's steeped in that. So I mean, when he comes at a subject, he's coming well equipped. And I like little snippets where he talks about in the Middle Ages there were 600 hospitals started by monks, and how Christianity was significant in blessing Western culture. We like to bang on about the negatives. So I mean, I enjoyed Professor Hart. I think his name's Professor Hart. It's about 4 or 5 weeks since I looked him up or read him, but I really enjoyed him. So I'm just being honest about things that I've read, and I think I've come to the end of my drink. So, is there anything else? I did some research on intelligent design, and I was impressed with some of the intelligent design people. I don't agree with everything they say, but I thought that the criticisms that they get was not true, and I did uncover some conspiracy. I wasn't just spinning it, but there was a conspiracy. There were definite evidence, clear evidence, government researched evidence in America of atheist scientists stopping research in intelligent design. And I uncovered the information. It's there. It's easy for anybody to find, but I found government documents, government sources where they'd given reports about how government departments had actually witnessed atheist scientists who were evolutionists actually persecute and stop intelligent design scientists doing research. And it's actually researched in detail, government researched. People who had no axe to grind in government in America saw this, and the information can be found. And you know, if anybody wants the information, I will let you. I'll send you to that information. So that was something that I was quite surprised and shocked at, really, this year. I read the old guard. I did some reading of the old guard, Hitchens and Dawkins. Tried to read Dawkins, I just can't get into him. I really feel that I feel that it's just poor scholarship. I just don't rate him at all, honestly. I just don't. I've tried a number of times to read his books on evolution, but when I read them, I feel I want to be sick, because it's so bad, and its reasoning so bad, and its evidence is so weak that I just can't understand how anybody of any intelligence can actually take on board the kind of things that he says. I'm trying to think. I reacquainted myself this year with Derrida. I did some reading and research of Derrida, and I always find his methodology helpful, just to critique other people, and I enjoy that. What else? Just trying to think. So that's kind of my intellectual journey this year. I just named some spiritual landmark points there. I think recently, last few weeks, I've been getting into Athanasius. I've really found him an interesting person, and I really find him fascinating. How he was exiled 5 times, and how he stood for the truth. I also read Strong's Systematic Theology, the first volume, which I find really interesting and stimulating on the doctrine of God. I don't agree with his theistic evolution, but I was impressed by his book. In terms of scripture, studying scripture, the book of Romans. Recently I studied the book of Romans and was impressed by the sort of pastoral implication of, the gospel in Romans chapter 1 verse 16-17. Excuse me, I'm getting tired. He said, I am not ashamed of the gospel. But what is the gospel? Jesus dying. So you believe in Jesus, but he died and he rose again. But when you believe that, how does that work pastorally? And Paul traces the pastoral implication of the gospel after Romans 3 to Romans 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. That we die with Christ and we live with Christ. And so the study of the book of Romans has been a landmark time this year for me.